something to celebrate. It is America's 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Again, I'm Jackie Jones. I'm currently serving as the Executive Director for the Buffalo Soldiers Museum. And we put this program on tonight and just would like, on behalf of the board members, if they would stand and be recognized for all their work and contributions. President Willie Stewart, David Boyd, if you would please stand and be recognized. People behind the scenes who work tirelessly, so I just want to acknowledge them and thank them again. And so this evening, history matters. And so this evening we celebrate history and reflect on the high points throughout the 250 years of American history. So this evening we are very pleased that we have a special presentation in partnership with Tacoma Little Theater, Martin Luther King, The Mountaintop. And for that, we have Jalen, Palin, Dwayne Andrews, and Ebri Brooks.
How you guys doing tonight?
Great.
Good. Let's give Jackie a round of applause because she put on a amazing my name is Jalen Penn. I come on behalf of Tacoma Little Theater. I am on the board of directors. I've been on there for about 3 years, and I'm also directing The Mountaintop. The band is up there, but The Mountaintop come April 24th through May 10th, and a shameless plug, tickets are on sale now at TacomaLittleTheater.com. So if you want to go ahead and get your tickets, go ahead and get your tickets, okay? Get your ticket on. Up here with me is Dwayne Brooks Jr., Dwayne Andrews Jr., sorry. He's going to be playing our Dr. King. He's playing our Dr. King. And then Ivory Brooks is going to be playing our Kamei. And I'm going to do two things. So we're going to be performing Act 2 for you guys today. I'm going to give you a synopsis of the play, and then I'm going to tell you what happened in Act 1, and then we're going to get into Act 2. Okay, so the synopsis. So this is a powerful reimagining of MLK's final night, leaving history, humanity, and hope. After delivering his famous "I've been on the mountaintop" speech, an exhausted Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. returns to his motel room, burdened by the weight of the civil rights movement. There he encounters Kamei, a mysterious hotel maid whose sharp wit and unexpected insights challenge his beliefs and legacy. As their conversation deepens, King is forced to confront the morality and unfinished work. Blending realism with spiritual and surreal elements, The Mountaintop offers a human portrait of an iconic leader, a thought-provoking journey. This play redefines the man behind the movement. So, Act 1 of The Mountaintop takes place on April 3rd, 1968 in room 306 of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has just delivered his famous mountaintop speech. A storm rages outside as he returns to his motel room, exhausted, hoarse, and uneasy. The public sees a fearless leader, but in private, King is anxious, paranoid, and deeply aware of the threats on his life. When a young motel maid named Kamei brings him coffee, what begins as a playful conversation slowly becomes something more probing. Through humor, flirtation, and sharp insight, Kamei challenges King, not as an icon, but as a man. He confronts his ego, his doubts, and the movement, his fears of irrelevance, and his growing terror that death is near. As the storm intensifies, so does King's paranoia. He suspects phones are tapped. He fears betrayal. He wrestles with the possibility that he may not live to see the dream fulfilled. By the end of Act 1, the encounter shifts from ordinary to extraordinary. Kamei reveals that she is not merely a maid, but an angel, sent with a purpose. The room is no longer just a motel room. It has become a space of reckoning.
Yo An angel?
In the flesh.
So where are your wings?
These will get me anywhere I need to go.
Wow. An angel.
Yes, I'm here to take you to the other side.
The other side.
No, not yet.
Because I was about to get mad if heaven looked like this.
They look around the room that's been torn apart in a tussle, suddenly very serious.
I'm not going to hell, am I?
No, no, no. Heaven is where we headed.
Good, good, good. Do all angels look as good as you?
Yes.
Heaven must be mighty nice then. I wonder what the women in hell look like.
Honey, they finer. Why do you think they in hell?
Kamei, you're really an angel?
Sorry I called you Michael. Not too many folks probably know that about you. God said that your Christian name kind of calms you. Ralph called you that too. Calmed you down quick fast. It's a nice name. It ain't better than Kamei though.
I changed it
When your
my
daddy
did.
did. When you was just 5. I done read your file. But I don't know why y'all want to be named after some Martin Luther though. I met him in the cafeteria today and he was kind of weird. Very.
You're really an angel.
What else I gotta do for you to believe me? Cry flowers?
But why did God send you?
What you mean by that?
Why he even
She.
send you? You're not what I was expecting.
Shoot, you are what I was expecting, Preacher Kane.
Well, I'm not perfect.
That you ain't.
Hey, don't judge me, you cussing, fussing, drinking angel.
Well, God know what you like, huh?
Hey, that ain't fair now.
The truth ain't got to be fair. It's the truth.
But why you?
Believe you me, I ain't want this job. First day, bring it over you. The Kane? I ain't want to do it. But God been hearing these prayers from a little one named Bunny.
A voice flutters out of Kamei's mouth like a butterfly. It softly lands inside the room.
Please, God, don't let my daddy die alone. When I heard it, well, it just about broke my heart. I just had to come.
Kamei actually does start to cry, and flowers bloom at her feet a beat.
You know her nickname? Bernice? My sweet Bernice, my baby girl spoke to you.
Her prayers are powerful. I can tell she's yearning. She got a way with words, a gift. Sound like she gonna be a preacher one day. I don't like cheering but too much, but she's something.
My bunny, my baby girl. Even she knows that
I gotta take you to the other side. Look, I know you're afraid, Preacher King.
How you know I'm afraid?
Because you should be.
She points to the door of the motel. Beneath the door burns bright red. The door begins to bulge and wave as fingers begin to push and poke through. King slowly walks towards the door, drawn to the danger, drawn to the bullet.
You talk about fear, Kamei. Well, I have felt fear. Felt it in my guts. Felt it in my toes. Felt it when I stood in front of my own congregation in my own church. There beneath that old rugged cross, I quaked and shook with fear. My insides churned, and I fought hard to keep them from leaping out of my mouth. You see, a Negro man is not safe in a pulpit. Not even in a pulpit of his own making. Sunday mornings have been the mornings when I am most afraid, because in this country, a pulpit is a pedestal. And we all know that in America, the tall tree is felled first. Tall trees have more wood to burn, Kamei. We are the sacrifice.
You've been knowing I was coming, haven't you?
Yes, oh yes. I have dreamed of you. Rather, I had nightmares. In my darkest hours, I even prayed with eyes wide open. Been so many death threats that some nights I have asked God, just get it over with. Even tonight after church.
He softly cups her face in his hand.
Who knew death would be so beautiful? Almost make a man want to die.
You not afraid of me?
Fear has become my companion, my lover. I know the touch of fear even more than I know the touch of my own wife. Fear, command, is my best friend. She is the reason I get up in the morning, because I know if I'm still afraid, then I'm still alive.
Tomorrow, when it's time, you're going to have to take my hand.
But I'm not ready to die.
But God said your time.
No, it's not my time. I ain't ready. I still have work to do.
He points to the papers back at his desk and he goes to sit down. He writes,
Why America is going to hell. A country that sends its boys to bathe little brown babies in the blood of our greed is headed for a crossroad of conscience.
You hear what I said? You ain't going to be able to finish that now.
And the consequence, our young are flown back home in star-strangled coffins. Unwashable are our hands as we stand at heaven's gate, wondering why God will not let us in. And why won't he? She let us in. Because America is going to hell. Cast down like Lucifer in this pit of burn, baby, burn.
And I thought I was the radical.
A tsunami of rage is rolling across the bottom of our seas, and America, my sweet America, is surrounded by rising waters, waiting to drown. Pharaohs will be overthrown when that great wave of change, cast them down into the rolling waters. But the children of the Nile will rise. They will rise, my brethren. Can I get an amen?
Amen. Amen.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
See, that'll make a good sermon, won't it?
Yeah, I said in the pew for that one.
So you agree with me? Well, I gotta finish my sermon, and I need to be alone to finish my sermon, so you're gonna have to fly away.
Preacher King.
Exactly 1 year ago, I stood in that pulpit in Riverside and shouted that this war would be our violent undoing. Freedom suicide. Well, I'll tell you, there weren't too many amens that Sunday. But who is a man who does not speak his heart's conscience? He is not a man, but I am a man. If only they could see that love is the most radical weapon there is. But they won't listen. Instead, they have called me every name but a child of God, even my own men. You split the movement, Martin. You split the movement. You can't focus on war, poverty, and Negroes.
Well, ain't you just a civil rights leader? You can't be talking about war, then this, then that.
And why the hell not?
Who you think you is, the president? Preacher King, you can't call all the shots all the time.
But just a little more time, just a little more time.
he goes back to his speech writing, cutting, and editing.
America, America,
Preacher King.
my country, tis
You making my job harder.
my country who don't
Harder than it already is.
more abroad than war on the streets.
It's hard on me.
Hard on you? What about it being hard on me? On my family? On Corey? On the movement? Has God thought about that?
God ain't the one you need to be mad at while you up there yelling. God ain't the one you need to be blaming.
Then who needs to be blamed?
It ain't who needs to be blamed, Preacher King. It's what. It ain't a who, it's what, Preacher King. Evil is not under God's jurisdiction, but good is.
Well, what? Can't you just stop it? Stop what's coming?
That ain't my job. God said I gotta get you ready to come on home.
But we still got work to do. I got more sermons in me, more goals, plans.
He gets down on bended knee.
Command. I want to do another march on Washington. Bigger, better, bolder.
Another dream of yours?
But I want to make this one a reality. The plan. It's all in the work. It's called the Poor People's Campaign.
Poor People's Campaign? What that is? It better not be no another march. You and your
Listen to
marches. You and your
Please,
marches.
man, listen.
She sits down on the bed and starts eating popcorn out of her maid's uniform.
I'm listening. Go on.
We've been organizing this campaign all year. Imagine, Command, on the Washington Mall, not thousands, not millions.
Millions of Negroes in the Washington Mall? Sure.
No, not just Negroes. White folk, Chinese folk, Indian folk, Mexican folk, all banding together to shame this country. All kinds of poor folks pulling the mall wagons across the Washington Mall. A rainbow of people chanting, "Stop the war in Vietnam! Stop the war on poverty!"
How about make love, not poverty?
Hey, I like that one too. They can call me Commie King all they like, I don't care. Poor people matter, Kamei. They matter. That's why I had to come in here, not to walk, but to march peacefully. Memphis is just a dress rehearsal for the big one. Memphis is just the beginning.
Your man will carry it on.
But I'm the leader of this movement, the head of the body.
Well, the body will just have to grow another head, because Memphis is the end of the road for you.
End of the road? But can't you ask God?
Honey, I can't do you no kind of special favor.
Just till the end of the month? Till I see this plan on through? Just till April 29th.
And what if she let you? You just gonna keep on saying one more day, one more month, one more this, one more that?
No, I won't.
Yes, you will. I know you, Preacher King.
They don't dream the same dreams I do, Kamei. They think I'm crazy to dream this big, and maybe I am a little crazy. But how can we fight the war in Vietnam, but not the war against Negroes in our streets? How can we try to put a man on the moon, but not feed starving children in Mississippi? There's so much I gotta do, so much I have yet accomplished, so much I gotta finish what I started.
It ain't all about you. You. Gosh, you men are so selfish. They always think it's about them. Ha. Well, let me tell you something, Preacher King. Let me tell you. Like most men, you ain't gonna be able to finish what you started.
My house has been bombed. I have been pelted with rocks, my arm twisted behind my back, my face shoved into a ground of gravel. I have been kicked at, spit at, pummeled, abused, looked at with the deepest scorn. I've even been stabbed in the chest. I walked away, alive. If I would have sneezed, I would have died.
Well, I'm glad you ain't have no cold that day.
Look at the life I lived. You tell me I ain't got favor with God after all that? Tell me I ain't jumped over every hurdle of this race?
Well, sometimes you can clear the hurdles and sometimes you ain't. Remember Albany? You done brought us so far. But you a man. You just a man, baby. You're not God. Though some folks say you got mighty close. You know, sometimes you failed.
Beat. The wind sinks out of his sails.
Like when that boy got shot. Larry Payne.
Well, that wasn't your fault. Police killed that boy, not you.
So this motel room will become my tomb? But I have survived so much.
Honey, I know all about your trials and tribulations. I done read your blessings file. It's bigger than your FBI file, and that bigger than the Bible. I know it might be hard for you to leave this life, your family, and all your plans. But you're gonna have to pass off that baton, little man. You in the relay race. I'll be the fastest runner we done ever seen. But you about to burn out, superstar. You're gonna need to pass off that baton.
I know I have dropped this baton so many times over this race, but I promise I ain't gonna do it again. Tell her.
Tell her.
Yes, tell her I promise. I won't drop this baton again.
You ain't supposed to question God. That's the rule. You know that.
There ain't no rules for an angel like you.
True. God's got rules. I had to read the whole Bible today.
Please, command.
Dr. King.
Please.
Well, what you gonna do for me?
A kiss from the king.
I don't want no kiss from you because you ain't brushed your teeth.
Please, command.
King goes down on bended knee. He plucks one of the flowers from the carpet and hands it to her in submission, a bead. Kamei snatches it from him. She walks over to the rotary phone on the nightstand beside the bed. She dials a really long phone number.
You lucky I remember this. This just my first day.
She waits and waits and waits. And finally, someone on the other end picks up. King sits beside Kamei and tries to listen in on the conversation.
Hey, St. Augustine. What up? Yeah. Can I speak to God? What's she doing? Oh, there are some forest fires. She had to go make some rain and when's she gonna be back? Well, can you call a cell phone? Cause this man is really getting on my nerves. I'm trying to get him on the program. Yeah, I know. That's what I tried to tell him. You know, Mars. Sure can. He trying to get her on the cell.
The cell?
It's like a phone that ain't got no cord.
A phone with no cord?
Sort of like when you're talking to God. Don't need no real cord. She just sort of answers.
Beat, she perks up. Someone has come to the phone.
Hello there, God. It's me, Kamei. How it going? Oh, it's going pretty good. Yep. Yeah, I'm halfway through my shift. Taking a break. But, well, there's a bit of a problem. He said he ain't ready. That's what I told him. I know.
Let me talk to her.
No.
I want to talk to your supervisor.
I'm trying to butter her up first.
Let me talk to her.
He tries to snatch the phone from Kamei.
Hold on a goddamn minute, Preacher Kane. Yes, but he's stubborn. And quite convincing. He sure do got away with words. I know you done told me. You want to talk to him? Well, good, because he want to talk to you.
Kamei hands the phone over to him. King snatches it, clears his throat, puts the phone to his ear.
God? It's, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Oh, yes, Michael to you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Is she?
Black?
God, ma'am, you don't sound like I thought you'd sound. No, pardon me if that offends. I like how you sound. Kind of like my grandma. Well, it's a compliment. I loved her dearly. I love you more, though. Kamei told me that you might be busy tonight. Oh, you have time for me. For one of your favorites. God, are you all right? You sound hoarse. Oh, you tired? Well, it must be tiring to be everywhere all at the same time. Well, God, I don't mean to trouble you, ma'am, but I wanted to ask you something. You see, I have always listened to you, honored your word, lived by your word, for the most part. God, please don't strike me down by asking this, but I want to live. I have plans, lots of plans in my head and in my heart, and my people need me. They need me, and I need to see them to the promised land. I know that's not what I said earlier tonight. I know, but I wasn't lying exactly. I just didn't know she was coming so soon. I meant every word I said tonight when I spoke to those people. Dead honest. No pun intended. God, I want to see my people there. The tide is turning. War is becoming the order of the day, and I must convince them to stay vigilant. We've come too far to turn back now. God, listen to me. Who else is better for this job? I mean, who will take my place? Jesse! I just thought Ralph would make a better. No. I have not turned vain. On the contrary, I'm a servant for you, God, ma'am. Yes, I've been a servant for you all my life. At one point in time, I might not have been up for the challenge, but I knew this was all par for the course, and I did your will. I honored your will. God, ma'am, let me not die a man who doesn't get to hug his children one last time. Let me not die a man who never goes to make love to his wife one last time. Let me not die a man who dies afraid and alone. Then why'd you pick me? Oh, no disrespect, but if you didn't know what I could do, what my talents were then, you got some nerve dragging me here to this moldy, malted room in Memphis to die, huh? Of all places. Well, I am angry. There have been so many nights when I had to held my tongue when it came to you, but not tonight. Not tonight. I have continuously put my life on the line, gave it all up for you and your word. You told me that I'd be safe in your arms. You protected me all this time. Glued a pair of wings on my back, but now that I've flown too close to the sun, I'm falling into the ocean of death. God, how dare you take me now? Now, I beg you, I plead, God. Man?
Click.
God?
What'd she say?
I think she hung up on me.
Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you guys letting us. Big thank you to the Washington State History Museum, the Buffalo Soldiers Museum, and I'm hand it off to Jackie. One last plug, tickets on sale now at thetheater.com. April 24th to May 10th. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you.
The life and story of Dr. Martin Luther King behind the scenes. The dreamer, the mountaintop, the humanitarian. So thank you again. We really appreciate it. Appreciate being a community partner with Tacoma Little Theater. I don't know if Chris is here. There he is. Please stand and be recognized. He's the executive director. They do a lot of great things. Okay, so the next part of our program, we're moving to the American History Trail. And we're all on a journey of civilization. We all have our own story that we write in history. So it is my pleasure now to introduce the dynamic panel. You're in for a real treat with this panel discussion. The MC will be, yes, the dynamic MC will be Russell Holter, and the panelists will be Professor Luther Adams and Professor Derek Estrada. I now welcome them to the stage.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's good to see you here tonight. I'm Russell Holter, and I will be the moderator for a discussion on the American Trail, 1776 to 2026. To my left and to your right is Derek Estrada, Assistant Professor of English in the Arts and Humanities Department at Pierce College. He's taught African American Studies at Cal State University, Long Beach, and he's also a member of the Board of Directors of the Buffalo Soldiers Museum. Derek. Also this evening, I'm pleased to introduce to you Dr. Luther Adams. He's an Associate Professor of Ethnic, Gender, and Labor Studies with the University of Washington, Tacoma, my alma mater. And he's conducted hours of research on police brutality, African American migration and religion, urban history, and Black culture. Welcome, Dr. Luther Adams. I'm going to just jump right into the questions here to get the conversation started. And we'll start with you, Professor Estrada. Let me ask you this. If the Declaration of Independence, if it were written today, what new self-evident truths might be included to reflect modern American values?
Yeah, and in thinking of that question, I'm always a bit nervous to answer that question. With the inception of this document, we wrote a lot of self-evident truths, and we sort of defaulted on those promises almost immediately. I think about this document, and I think about something that Frederick Douglass said, and that it was a day of celebration for the creators, but it was a day of mourning for everyone that it didn't include. And I think some of the truths that we need to make sure that we do include moving forward, if we do want that document to represent what it should, is it should not be necessarily about equality, but about some level of equity and fairness, accepting people within their circumstances. I think the challenge of making a doctrine such as this for a vast number of people is that they didn't initially make that document for very many people. And now we are realizing the true elements and language of this document today, and it deserves a revision. It deserves a reimagining, because we have become what they thought we could become, but everyone isn't necessarily realizing that. So I think we focus more on some level of equity, some level of acceptance, and sort of get away from the all men are created equal. I've never really liked that word equal, because I don't think anybody is created equal. We are all born under different circumstances and for different spaces, right? But there's something about being treated equitably, being treated fairly, especially under the eyes of our Creator. And if we're going to embody these words, I think that we should make sure that we are living what we can imagine we can become. We have to dream a bit in this document. It can't just be passive language. I think we have to dream a bit, and dream that we can realize it a bit more.
Dr. Adams, we had this discussion last week. You had some very interesting points to make. What are your thoughts on, if you had the opportunity to be able to sit there and reimagine this document with self-evident truths? What should be included?
Well, you're right, we talked about it last week, and I was thinking a lot about land. But that's not what I'm thinking about this week. This week, what I was thinking about was bodily autonomy and self-determination, what some people might call sovereignty. The body autonomy is one that I think, at least today, can cover a range of different things, but also historically is also rich. Today, I think a lot of people think about it in terms of gender expression, reproductive rights, or vaccinations and masking and what you can tell me to do with my body or not. And I think it does cover all those things. And some of those are difficult. You know, weighing someone's ability to say, you know, I don't want you to inject me with this, with the rights of others to live in safety and good health. But I'm also thinking about body autonomy because today is Remembrance Day. And it is Remembrance Day for Executive Order 9066, Executive Order 1942, February, where President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed this order sending over 120,000 Japanese Americans, we call them internment camps, but that is not what they were called at the time, concentration camps. I thought of this particularly because kind of like a godmother in our family is a woman who was my wife's second grade teacher and stayed in her life since then, but was 6 years old when she was interned. I think about bodily autonomy also because I think of, well, that's the whole history of slavery and mass incarceration. Like literally somebody can shut yourself up in a cage. Slavery compel you to work, chain you, restrict your motion. All of that is about bodily autonomy, I thought. And if they added that, things might be real different, assuming they obeyed the ideas they put forward, which, as you're pointing out, not always, but it was something to strive towards. So I thought a lot about bodily autonomy, the ways in which, mainly through force, what we do or can't do, where we go or can't go, you know, even that whole idea of, you know, you're under arrest. Literally, they're freezing you, you know, stop, freeze. They're stopping your body where you can go. Stop and frisk. All of that is bodily autonomy. So that would be one. And the other thing I was thinking about was self-determination or sovereignty. In that Declaration of Independence, it does say, you know, governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. But the idea, I think, is not just about consent. I think self-determination is also about, like, nobody else can really speak for you, not just as individuals, but as groups of people. And for me, I think about that a lot in our current moment, where we're supposed to have government and Congress and all these things representing the people. And we have all these mechanisms for voting that are supposed to allow people to express their will. And yet, I mean, are we really making decisions, or is that in the hands of corporations and lobbyists what would self-determination really mean if we took that seriously? That we want this to speak for the people. They have all these polls that tell us, you know, most Americans are tired of all these guns. But that don't stop these guns. There's all these polls that tell us what people think and what they feel. And yet the people who are supposed to represent us are like they're beholden to some other interest. So in that sense, what I'm also really talking about, which is what the document was about, is the idea of democracy. And what does it really mean to have a democracy where people are represented, where people have a voice, where consent is real. So that's kind of what's on my mind this week, different from last week. But I think, you know, for me, that idea of poverty, sovereignty cuts across slavery and prisons and reproductive rights, so many different things.
Dr. Adams, the Declaration of Independence was a 27-point indictment on tyranny. How does the Declaration of Independence influence what it means to be an American now in the 21st century?
I mean, first, I'm not sure what an indictment on tyranny, in the sense of, like, you're gonna indict tyranny, but you're holding slaves. I mean, so like, how deeply did they really question the issue of tyranny? In some ways, they were really worried about their own economic interests. They were really worried about their own position, their own standing. And I think that when I look at the document, there's like what the document said, what the people really meant, and how they acted it out in their lives and in the world they created, and how people have really seen the best in those words and fought to breathe real life into those words. And sometimes really against the wishes of those who wrote them. I mean, and those who go back to their moment of writing them. I think the basic things, of course, are still important. You touched on it. You know, they start out, you're endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. And certainly, you know, what that Creator is, I mean, people may dispute and disagree. And is it a sheep? And at the same time, the basic notion, though, is we got some rights that no government can step in between. No rules on this earth, no rules in this policies or constitutions and words on a piece of paper. There are some things that are unalienable. They are central to us as people. That idea is powerful. I mean, that's central to what we're seeing in our country right now. Like, because you say some masked man can come and snatch us off the street, that's okay. We have to recognize that. Like, this is Black History Month, so we do recognize this is a nation. You know, if you're thinking about Martin Luther King and the beautiful play that you were reenacting, like, segregation was legal, slavery was legal, disfranchisement was legal, lynching was condoned. So the idea that our rights are going to come from a piece of paper called a constitution or a sovereign over across the seas, like, that's one of the basic things that document challenges. It puts forward ideas that, rather than looking at the world and saying it is what it is, I mean, you can change it. And you may have to fight to change it. And I don't just mean fight with words. I mean, they were, well, they're flintlocks. They really fought to make changes. That the people have a say. You know, this is an age of kings and queens and aristocracy. You weren't a citizen, you were a subject. All of those, I think, are still ideals that resonate not just for America, but all around the world. They didn't live by that, but people have increasingly pushed closer and closer to that, just as others are pushing back away from that. Those things still have value, even if the people who wrote them, I mean, they didn't believe in that really. Because if you believe in it just for yourself and not for other people, like, I get freedom, liberty, democracy, but not you. You don't believe that. You can't say I'm a human being, but they're not. I get democracy, but they get chains.
You know, Dr. Adams makes a really good segue into the next question here, Professor Estrada. So what lessons from the Declaration of Independence can help guide our nation through the challenges that we're facing in the 21st century?
I think we can learn from both what the document states and implies, and also what the document doesn't include, you know, what it maybe missed out on. You know, I think about a lot of the core points and commands, and I think about all the times in history that groups of people have come together to make demands against their government. I think about the Black Panther Party, right, who is often vilified historically as this violent group of Black men. In reality, they were a group of men that wanted to protect their community from police brutality. They wanted to feed their community and empower their community. And their core tenets were things that we still ask for today, right? Gainful employment, representation, you know, not fueling the prison industrial complex of this nation, which is just the modern form of slavery today. And so I think about that document and what we might learn from that. And I think one of the things I always focus on is language. And it reminds me of what I always tell my students about work and about prayer and things like that. It's like, you know, thought or prayer without action is just hope. And you can't really just live off of hope. You know, you kind of want to be actionable in this process. And I think that's what we have begun to lose. And maybe we didn't just lose it. Maybe it was sort of beaten out of us or killed out of us. You know, I was watching that performance, you know, and I was thinking about King, and I was thinking about the part where, you know, he's asking, well, you know, like, I still have work to do, and you have to pass this torch. And I thought about everyone that he passed the torch to. How many leaders that we have lost that have been murdered or imprisoned or exiled in some way, shape, or form. And I think about all that progress that was lost because of that. And so I think, you know, a lot of the language that we use to understand not only what we desire from our nation, but for what our nation is trying to give, what the government is trying to give to us. And I think we need to understand that in that declaration, it gave them the language to empower themselves to abolish or remove any government that wasn't serving them, right? That wasn't serving the people, because that is their duty, that is their purpose, is to serve the people. And I think that's something we need to take from that is and I feel like we're seeing a bit of that on both sides of the political aisle. We're not doing it uniformly, but I think both sides think they're doing what's in the best interest of their perspective on governmental and political change. But there's a great deal of unhappiness on both sides of the aisle. And I think what we must learn from that is there must be change here, and we must be proactive in that fight. We must be more than complicit with the changes that we desire and the hope that we desire. The rights and liberties that we so graciously, accept and argue for, they come with a sort of civic duty. And we have duties to our community, to our families, to ourselves, but duties to the community at large. And sometimes I just feel like we've lost sight of that in a lot of ways. That there are things that are vastly important, that are much bigger than just the self.
You had mentioned your students, and it made me wonder about how you build into your curriculum an appreciation for the Declaration of Independence for a younger generation.
I think I always start with a comprehension of it, like what did it say, what was its expectation? And then I ask them to challenge that language. What have we upheld? What can we say? What can we cross off and say we have done this thing? And then what haven't we done? How have we gone? How have we been led astray, or how have we dropped the proverbial ball in upholding this? And not just for any one particular group, but for the community at large, our nation as a whole. And I think the understanding and the feedback I get from my students is that they very much want to be proactive in the change. They very much want to be a part of something new and something more loving and something more inclusive. But I think there is a lack of understanding of how to get there. Right? I think they're looking for a roadmap, but historically speaking, there has never really been a roadmap. It's just kind of been to simplify it, but determination, but a collectivity, a solidarity across all, divisions of race and class, gender, identification. And I hope that we can do that through the discourse we have in my classroom.
Dr. Adams, is liberty and justice for all, is that an obtainable goal, and is that something that we should be working toward? It was a softball.
No, I don't think it's a softball. I just think it's, in terms of a question, I think it's, kind of a no-brainer on one hand. Like, am I gonna say no? And if I say it's not, then what the hell are we here for? like, we ain't never gonna be free. Good night. No, I don't agree with that. So, the idea that it's an attainable goal, yes. I think that's where you start to look at the idea of hope. Some people might want to call it like, what do they say, Afro-pessimism, some O'Neillism. Nobody's ever gonna treat us better, it ain't never gonna be no better than this. Things will just, we'll always find some new way to, okay. So now what? And more deeply, for me, is that how we got here?
Yeah.
I am mindful of where I have come from and who my people are. I know they were held as slaves in Kentucky. I know They were bought and sold, unable to read and write. They faced violence. And the idea that they endured all this and said, it was just like, well, today is going to be tomorrow, and tomorrow is going to be tomorrow, and everything is always going to be the same. You think they really didn't dream of freedom? They didn't dream of a better life for their children? Me? They didn't have ideas that what they're enduring is not right and will not go on forever. I mean, that's also part of that endowed with our Creator. I mean, that's part of it too. Like, you had to really look at what people were saying. You know, you had David Walker, who was basically like, man, slavery's a sin. And if there is a God, y'all are going to pay for this. There will be a day of reckoning. You don't just skate. And the nation is going to pay. And in fact, they did pay. And we also have to recognize it in this way. You said that, you know, kind of turning to faith without works is dead. Right? So what is it that you do? And how do we pair our words and actions with reality? And one of the things I do know then is that when you look at how changes occurred, yes, Black people were protesting. Black people wrote slave narratives. They sent petitions. They appealed internationally to end slavery. They did all these different things. But slavery died on a battlefield. It died when Black people as contraband began to walk off of plantations and follow Union lines. When they began to enlist, and you know, you're talking about Buffalo Soldiers. Well, this is where I mean, we understand 1866, but the Black soldiers in the Civil War, men of color to arms. And there were women in the Black Panther Party. They risked something to make a change. I do think there is a concerted effort. Keep our heads down, focused on your phone, focused on the shortest of attention spans. Yes, I am talking to him because he looks just like my son. I saw when he came in, he had slides on and everything. I was like, it's not my son, he's at home. I tried to get him to come. They're working to keep you distracted, to keep you from knowing there is a roadmap. In fact, people have been doing things for years. You know, like, I don't really go into my class trying to tell my students have an appreciation for anything. Frankly, I go in there and tell them, like, you need to criticize and be critical about everything. Raise questions. Who said this? Why? Does it work? Does it not work? Did they have something good on the other side to say? Maybe they did have a point. And then some things, you know, come on, like, I'm not going to get into there's two sides to every story. Like, you know, there's the slaveholder and the slave. I'm not, oh, well, there was something good about slavery. No. I mean, everything got limits. But of course, that can be a reality. Liberty and justice for all. Everybody in this country could eat. Everybody in this country could have health care. Everybody in this country could have housing, a place to live. I mean, Montana ain't even full. We got enough to do that. I mean, I don't have enough. When I say we, I mean
Collectively, yes. The country.
give up some of this, you know. But certainly we can do that. In order to do it, Maybe like this declaration, it requires some radical change. It requires us to think about things differently. Maybe property and money isn't the most important thing. Maybe we have to look generations ahead. Yes.
So we can work for a goal for liberty and justice for all. What role should we be playing in keeping the spirit of the Declaration of Independence alive? And I'll just kind of toss that out there. Who wants to answer that question first?
I mean, I don't know if we, I don't know the spirit of it. I don't know if we necessarily want to keep, I don't know if it ever had that spirit. You know, when you exclude a vast majority of your demographic, if you exclude a huge, even a minority portion of your demographic from freedom, you lose the spirit of anything you're talking about. You sort of diminish anything that you were trying to create. I think we have to develop a new understanding, a new spirit of what those declarations really should look like. You know, I think about the history of it all, the impact of it all, and I think about what it was supposed to mean and how that sort of played out historically, and I ask myself, who genuinely looks at this document, looks at our history and says, this is what we were supposed to do. We have reached our pinnacle of societal achievement and expectation. I don't know. I mean, maybe I do know a few people that do, but I don't necessarily look at that. I don't want us to look at the spirit of the document and feel accepting. Because what I look at is what it means to be free. And I traditionally align with Toni Morrison's definition of freedom, which is the function of freedom is to free others. And we didn't really do that. We didn't do that at all. We actually did the exact opposite. We fought for freedom, and then they enslaved millions of people. So I think if we are going to create documents that are meant to represent the beliefs and values of our nation, those documents should be make people bigger and more empowered, more loving. They shouldn't be something that divides us in any capacity. But I'm often conflicted about that word, spirit, the spirit of the documents. Because it, I don't know, I think about my ancestors, the people who look like me, they couldn't even read the document. When you deny people an opportunity at education, that is a denial of intellectual freedom, intellectual opportunity of the self, and I don't know. I don't think I ever want the spirit of that to live on.
Well, same question to you, Dr. Adams. So the spirit of independence, is it alive and well? What do we do to keep it going, keep it alive, keep it vibrant?
Well, I take very seriously what you're saying to heart, Eric. I wonder about the we. You know, when you said we did this, it was like, I don't know if I was part of that. Or my ancestors was part of that. Who is that we? I think I still approach it a little bit differently. I remember when I was young, we celebrated the Spirit of '76. And I'm still kind of down for that, if we really understand what it was. I mean, now it's become, we're celebrating the 250th anniversary of our nation, founding fathers. And they've kind of made it like, this is America. We made it. We got a nation. But the Spirit of '76 was a revolution. Really consider that. It was a revolution, and it wasn't the only one. They had a whole slave revolt called the Haitian Revolution and the French Revolution. These people were knocking off monarchs. I mean, the French, they took it, to its logical extreme. They were like, hey, now we're working 35 hours a day. And Haitians as well. I mean, they fought off Spanish and French and Americans. And when they got done, they wrote a constitution and created a republic. It was an age of revolution. They were like, this stuff isn't working. We can remove it all. We can start afresh. We can decide for ourselves which way we want to go. And it was divisive. At minimum, it divided some colonies away from this kingdom. The causes that compel us to separation. And certainly, we're at a very divided point now in our nation. Now, when I think about revolution, maybe it's you talking about the Black Panthers, and it reminded me of Malcolm X. And back in the day, he said, America's in this place where it can be the only nation to have a bloodless revolution. And he talked about the difference, thinking about King and what he called the Negro revolt and revolution. And he was looking around the world where there's all these revolutions, decolonization. Frantz Fanon said it as decolonization is always violent. But that's when Ghana and Egypt, all these countries began gaining their independence. They did that through revolutions. That was the Spirit of '76. But many in this nation hold that differently now. We the people, 1776, don't tread on me. That's not meant to be revolutionary anymore. That's like reactionary. We want to keep America what it was 200 years ago. We're beholden to what these people thought, even though part of what they framed was something that could change, both in their actions. One of the other things I think that is important about that Spirit of '76, it also helps us frame something that even I think thinking about Martin Luther King helps us think about. These changes didn't occur within the government. These changes came from outside the government. And then the government tried to react to it by sending redcoats or by passing legislation. But these movements didn't come from these people inside the aisle, this person over here. The Spirit of '76 was like the people. The people made some differences. The people got out there as a militia, Minutemen. And I know Minutemen has a bad name, but there's black militias. In fact, So that to me is the spirit of 1776. It's a spirit of revolution. It's not a spirit of, and now we got a nation, and that's what it is, and how happy we are that we created this. It's that you can change the world. You can change the world you live in. Radically so. And that wasn't a little change, that was a big change for some. And for some, it didn't change at all. Change just looked like they did just before.
Well, thank you, Dr. Adams. Thank you, Professor Estrada. That concludes this portion of the program. I've got a question for you guys. You want to turn the tables and ask them questions instead of having them ask us questions? I knew Dr. Adams would be up for that. Go ahead.
So, I want to know, like, is there something we should have talked about that we didn't talk about? Is there something you agreed with, disagreed with? Something missing. You said there is something you agree with, disagree with? Can I hear it, sir? Yeah. What was it?
We're gonna bring the microphone over.
Do y'all hear me?
Okay.
I got an outdoor voice. So I think, I would have liked to have acknowledged was that the Constitution and the all and the we did not include the us and the me. So the original document, the original colony established the foundation of our nation. That were the all and the we were white men. It seems like females, because y'all couldn't vote, couldn't own houses, couldn't make your own decisions. So we have to bring that point into the conversation. There's a couple more numbers in addition to the 250 that I think need to be recognized. That's 534 of the native people from 1492 to today have been degraded to still going on. Another number is 407. From 1619, when those first slave ships landed on the east coast of this country, to today, our 407 years of tears that go on with the 250 years of this country's celebration. So those are just some of the things that I was thinking about as this distinguished panel is speaking.
Professor Estrada, talking about the exclusiveness.
It's just one of those things that you are trying to balance the depth that you can go into some of these conversations. I feel like, when I listen to this gentleman, I feel like we can talk about numbers. We can have a whole other panel just about the numbers and the years and the division of that. And I am grateful that we have kind of flipped this a little bit to be able to hear the voices of the audience. And I know we have some more, but no, I think it's a valuable addition to understand just the amount of time of exclusion, how many people were actually excluded, right? Because the discussion of inclusivity is something that we are, Jackie's presence lets me know that we are running out of time. But, yeah, no, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Give them another round of applause. Yes, let's give them another round of applause. For that thought-provoking conversation. Also, I would like to recognize recognize Executive Director for the Washington State History Museum and one of our partners, Van. If you would please stand and be recognized. And so now, history matters, and the question is, where do we go from here? So we'd just like to briefly thank a few people. To come a little dear, let's give them another round of applause. Certainly a pivotal point in American history. Lewis Army Museum, Tacoma Creates is one of our funders, Black Future Fund, and of course, the United States Association of the Military. So our mission as an American History Museum is to educate, preserve, and present American history. If you haven't been to the museum, we invite you to come. Just want to tell you a little bit about our work. So one of the things that we do in this open now is we have an early learning story time, right? So we're about the arts, we're about the history, we're about the culture. And certainly with the kids, we don't want to burden them with the stresses of life, so kids should be able to play. So we have stick horses. We had a stick horse, and you could just ride around, and then you find the next watering hole, and the kids think that's hilarious. And so it's our early learning program, but we have a head start, and we actually go to the facilities. Also, we do public school tours. And all of our programs are based on common core curriculum standards. American history is required to be taught in the 5th, 8th, and 11th grade. Education is king. And so our founding documents are Declaration of Independence, U.S. Constitution, Emancipation Proclamation, and we support bringing back cursive writing so that the kids can understand. And history is a date, it's a time, and it's an event. And everyone has an opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but we let them discuss. Another picture of the ROTC group and some of the private schools that come to the museum and learn about history. And kids are very interested in learning. We have a challenge that we do, scavenger hunt. Also, we have our annual golf tournament. Again, we enjoy doing these free events, but we certainly need corporate sponsors and businesses to support us, so we do our annual golf tournament. This year it will be August the 6th at Eagles Pride, and so we invite you to come on out and have a fun day out on the green. Also, one of our other community building events is the Labor Day Festival. It's honoring our military labor force, past, present, and future. It's where we go out and connect with the military community. Granted, they're not in jail, but they're behind the walls, and a lot of them really get long way from home, and they long to meet the community people. It's a free event, and in the keeping the history perspective alive, it's Army versus Air Force. So the Army has on buffalo soldiers, and the Air Force has on red-tailed hawks. There's food vendors, there's softball games, and just a good community building event. And also we connect, have one of the commanders actually throws out the pitch. So they welcome community building, and actually tournaments within the city of Tacoma have occurred since 1910. Pierce County employs the most labor for the military and brings in the most military dollars. Also, with this Labor Day Festival, we have the Tacoma Longshoremen, like to acknowledge them, and Tacoma firefighters, and they said we want in on the game challenge, and so they come out and they play. And again, it's free and open to the public. All are invited. The date is Monday, which will be September. This is last year's, but this year, Labor Day Festival is on September the 7th. And of course, it gives the Tacoma Police Department a chance to come out and to mingle with people. Because unfortunately, the police department, they always see the worst of people. And again, to some of our visitors at the museum, this is some active duty military. This was taken just a few weeks ago. And so they do staff training again because the story of the Buffalo Soldiers is a story of history, legends, and legacy, also bravery and heroism. And as we know, there's so much going on in our world today, but this is still America. So we're happy to have them and to be there for them as they look at history and build upon that. And here they are, you can see the seriousness of their faces. I think this group is getting ready to travel overseas, but these are the American patriots. These are the people who are protecting us as we sit at home in comfort. Again, we're also community building partners with Department of Veterans Affairs, and I would like to acknowledge all veterans in the audience. If you serve, we certainly do recognize you and thank you for your service, and also college students. Again, this story, I'll just say, with American history, you know, we are community partners with public schools so that American history is taught. Part of the problem is students really don't know about history and the founding documents. And so with that, I would like to say thank you all so very, very much. We hope you've enjoyed this evening, and give yourselves a round of applause.
Wonderful time today. You may not support Dr. Jackson. Peace.